Hey, how's it, guys? My name is Ubulelani Balabala. I'm your host. At the Kasi Business Podcast. We're out here again for episode number 8. As you know how we usually do our intros, I don't want to read this man's bio because I definitely think that I'm going to do him injustice. So I think I want to give our honorary, amazing Titan an opportunity to just say hi, greet you, and introduce himself the best way he knows how to. How are you, sir?
All right, and yourself?
No, I'm very, very well.
Thank you for the invite to your podcast, man. I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you so much for making time for us.
Hanging out with you is always dope, man.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite.
No, thank you, sir. If you had to introduce yourself, how would you introduce yourself? Because I remember the last time, I came in and we met, and I came in with this big emphatic. You're like, no, I'm Chitasekas. So I'd love to give you the opportunity to just give us that one-liner, and then we'll just unpack into the story and journey.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it to you like how it is on my Instagram profile, because I find it really hard talking about myself, But yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of M+N as well as Avatar. I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a servant of God, and I care for the people. Sure. In summary, that's who I am.
But I think just taking it a couple of steps back, and I think in taking steps back, I want to go into the early journey. When you read your book, and I think when I was doing some research on your journey, what definitely stands out is the consistent theme, and I think also you touch on it. It's almost the title of the book, the 2,000 Rand start.
Yeah.
How you were able to start with 2,000 Rand and investing that in the stock market and then scaling and growing.
Yeah.
But I think before I even ask you how you invested that, but just to get into how did you develop that mindset that would say, don't give me 2,000 Rand to go buy food or jeans or clothes. As a young person, you decided to opt and develop the mindset to start to repurpose things like that. How did you then start to harness, or what are the things that went into harnessing that mindset for you?
So for me, I didn't have much of a choice. It was a circumstance that led me there, right? Where my mom basically had a conversation with me saying that when I finish school, she's not sure how, she's going to pay for my fees for me. That level of uncertainty gets one thinking very quickly. And so the skill, you start thinking about what skills do I have, what opportunities to make money. And because I already was upskilling myself around the world of computers, I decided, I'm going to start a business that repairs computers at the time. And I just decided in my bedroom, in Spruitview, that I'm going to do this, and I took the 2,000 Rand and I invested in the business. Doing other things was not an option because, there was a long-term journey. Because I knew I wanted to go to school. So had I taken the money and did other things with it, it would have been a dead-end road. So that's why I say the circumstance led me to want to grow that 2,000 some way, somehow. Because that was what was standing between me and poverty, in essence.
Yeah, but in you utilizing that, and I guess now finally saying you're going to start this business, it's going to repair computers and the sort. How was the journey? Did you start with parts? Did you start by educating yourself online on how to do this thing? Or was it I'll figure it out as I move along?
Well, it was kind of both, Throughout high school, I made the decision that, I want to do something big and great one day with my life. As to what it is, I don't know. I've always known that I was destined to do something huge. So wherever that journey leads me, I'll go. And I had a love and passion for computers. And so what I then did, I befriended friends that, loved exactly the same thing because I wanted to learn from them. So they started teaching me a few things, from learning a few things. Then it was the library, learning how to put them together, how to tear them apart. And after begging my uncle for a long time for a computer, one day he came around and he got me a computer. And instead of using it, the first thing I did was open it, just to see what's going on inside. So I've always had that curious mind. And so that's how I developed knowledge around the world of computers. So when I was faced, with this tough decision of life now about, what's the next thing in life, where to from school, it was, may I hope it's fine if I refer to a scripture.
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely the platform.
Oh, okay, dope. There's a scripture where God asked Moses, what do you have in your hand? And so for me, what I had in my hand is the knowledge around the world of computers. It's that skill. So if there's anything I can monetize, it is that. That's what I got in my hand. And the 2,000 Rand was in essence monetizing, enabling me to monetize a skill. My first customer, interestingly enough, was my high school. I started repairing computers for them.
Oh, wow.
My next customer was my library, Esprit View. I'd be in there repairing computers for them. And now as the neighbors saw me do all of this, then they'd be like, Yazi umntanami udinga icomputer, ungangisiza. I was like, yeah, no problem. You know what I mean? Hey, can you help me with repairs? And that's how it started taking off. As people saw me in the library, the word was starting to spread.
Sure. And I really love that, right? Because I guess it's a story of, I think, resilience. But what were some of the early challenges that you had to overcome, whether internal or external ones, that you had to overcome to sort of navigating and keeping on?
It's a mindset challenge, right? I think what helped me is my then business partner, Neo. He had an interest in the world of finance, of commerce. So he would insist that we go to like business seminars in Sandton, and we travel to, I remember the first time attending the Lurie Awards, which is the Marketing and Advertising Industry Awards. We went to the Northwest in Sun City. We drove all the way, right? But he was a type of individual that liked exploring, right? So for me, when I say it's mindset, for me, for a long time when I started, I was in the, I'm a techie guy, I'm the guy with a screwdriver, right?
Yes.
And then traveling to all these places kind of, changed my mindset in that, okay, but why am I limiting myself to the screwdriver? Why am I limiting myself to just here, Ekas? I remember one day visiting this one uncle of mine, same uncle who bought me the computer. And I overheard a conversation about a young man, I think who was white, but they were just chatting about him, that in his 20s, he's already made his million, And I thought, whoa, okay, so people can actually do that. And I overheard this in a conversation in a house in the burbs, right? And now the environment is right? And I'm thinking, but why am I limiting myself? Why can't I do that, And then with that mindset shift, that I want more for myself, I made the goal that by 21, I want to have made my first million, right? And I'm talking in Kuluma song, Sekas,
yes.
But I want to make my first million by 21, which meant that, I looked at what I was doing. If I'm repairing computers, when am I going to get to R1 million if my transaction size is like 5K here, 3K there? If it's a repair, it's 500. When am I going to get there? And I looked at the risk around what I was doing, that there's no way someone will trust a 17-year-old kid, an 18-year-old kid with a contract with millions, infrastructure. That means I got to work my way around this thing, And this is when the mindset shifts are starting, of wanting more, of wanting greater, and that's when the transition happened to move from repairing computers to software development, eventually website development, right? And in doing that, by 21, we made our first million.
I think just segueing into, before we unpack that, the feeling and the impact of hitting that milestone, I think for me, one of the key things I'd like to just unpack with you right now in that journey and story, how important was that exposure? And I think it's also a conversation that we had offline.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to share how impactful, because I think part of the journey was I was brought out, I went to, I came out, so it took you also showing up for the stuff. How impactful was that in driving your curiosity?
I think the best way to describe it is when you watch a show on TV versus watching a show live, right? It's exactly the same thing. but two different things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have the feeling that comes with it, the emotion that comes with a live show versus watching it on TV, right? And so the world of entrepreneurship is almost like that as well. You can be exposed at a distance through the internet, through content. It's great, right? It's great. And I encourage it. But there's nothing quite like getting a live moment and seeing someone in the flesh, speaking to them, interacting with them, seeing what success looks like, experiencing success. It's giving yourself the time, Guti, you know what I mean? Okay, there's something going on, go.
Yes,
right? Go and be in the conversation. No mislung asas gash. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the whole point, right, is you need to grow, and experiencing things helps you to grow. You need to be in the right environment with, the aspirational people that, or people that you aspire to be. Right? You need to spend your time in a lot of those environments. You need to spend your time in environments that are encouraging, And I think Ekasi, the closest environment, in a typical Kasi is church, like a church environment where you walk out encouraged for your next grade. But you see, that happens as a result of experiences. So it's one experience leads to another experience. If you hear be there.
And I really, really love that, right? Now, I want to unpack the journey. Now, here you are, you're growing this business, you're transforming yourself. Where did you source your sense of either literature, learning, or mentorship, or if it was coaching that was available at the time? Was there such? And if there was such that you were able to draw from to help guide you, what were they?
Hey, Fulelani. Hey. Street MBA. That's what I say.
I love that.
Street MBA.
I love
that. And what I mean is nobody taught me finance. I had to get it wrong. You know what I mean? No one taught me how to read financial statements, balance sheets. No one taught me how to write a business plan. I just had to research and do. Research and do. And through that, you grow. I remember having to secure my first big deal. Now you can imagine, I've been doing business on a small scale.
Yeah.
And now for the first time, I'm walking into a corporate with a potential deal in hand, right? I want to do this deal. So again, I met this guy, Andile Mazwai, at a seminar. Right, at Wits University, you see, it wasn't even, it was inside Wits, And after meeting him, he gave me some time with him, right, to present my business to him. Like I hit him with an elevator pitch, and he gave me the time of day. So when I went there ready, have designed his website. When I get there, I show him, like, this is what I want to do for you, etc., etc. I've done it. And that meeting went terribly wrong. He told me all the things that I had done wrong, and it was like vulam kodingen, right? So you have a choice, when things don't go right as an entrepreneur. My view could have been, he's just player hating, I'm trying and he's not giving me an opportunity. I had the choice to make that view, right? But that's not the choice I took. The choice that I took was to actually listen to what he's saying. The bottom line of what he was saying is that had you researched before you got here, and have you applied yourself before you got here, we wouldn't be here, right? And when I left that meeting, I decided I'm going to do exactly what he said.
Yes.
I went to do my research. I went to apply myself. And I walked into that meeting the next time 10 times more confident because I knew that this time my ducks are in a row. And I showed him the work the second time. And I remember his reaction. He said these words, spot on. This is it. This is what I wanted. Spot on. Right? So the confidence that gives you, right? Now I've just closed my first corporate deal. One of many, right? But that was the first one. And what's the key differentiator? Research. Know your craft. Know your trade. Too often we want to get into meetings and speak about what's important for you. Like, I want, like people who want mentorship, I want mentorship from me. But it's a me decision. You're not considering me in that decision, right? It's a me decision. You are selling me water. Okay, great. It's a you decision. But you're not considering me, and while we're talking about water, you're not considering me in that decision.
That whole entire process.
Right? And what that process taught me, it's not about what I want. It's about what my customer wants, right? So it's not about the fact that I want mentorship. It's about making him give me the time of day to give me mentorship, which means that I have to do things outside of the box. I can't just go in there and say I want mentorship. 100 people want mentorship from him, 1,000 people. But how do I stand out of the 1,000 so that I will get mentorship from this guy?
Sure.
As an example. So if I'm going to sell you a service, lots of people are selling the same services. But how do I stand out? So it doesn't matter about the fact that, I come from where I come from. What matters is what service am I here to bring? How am I going to increase your top line? In other words, increase your sales? Or how am I going to save you costs and drive increased profits at your bottom line? That's the language of commerce. That is the language of sales. Every other thing matters very little. And when I learned that language and I applied it to myself, my products and services, right, my business just took off.
Sure. I mean, guys, those were nuggets, those were bombs. And I think do the research. And I love that because it's practical, it's measurable. Do the research before you meet with the customer. But I think just before there, you get to a point where now Csonke merges with Krazyboyz, becomes South Africa's leading digital agency.
Yeah.
What are some of the key things? Because in most cases, we're often told that, you can't collaborate, businesses can't collaborate, South Africans. What were some of the dynamics that you needed to work through that merger? Not just for that merger to work, but also to be able to scale.
Yeah.
Because now what you did is what most of us can't do.
Yeah.
You can't pivot and scale.
Yeah. Mina, I fundamentally believe in that African saying, umuntu ngabantu.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Funeka umazi omunye umuntu ukuthi ukwazi ukukhwela ukuya phezulu. Maungamazi umuntu, you're going to be an island. Right? And you're going to wonder ukuthi, why is my thing not prospering, in church, I've got a famous saying that, the Bible teaches us about love, and we tend to view love in a non-commerce way, but there's actually love in commerce, right? Because if you love your customer, you're going to treat them well. If you love your people, you're going to do right by them, and they'll do right by you too. And that's the power of partnership. But for partnership to work, it's driven by love. I have to make sure that if you're doing a deal with me, I'm not screwing you over, right? I must get into a deal where I'm winning and you are winning, right? But you can only do that if fundamentally what drives you is a basic force of love. If you don't have it, then all that you're going to be seeking to do is just make a quick buck here and there, wherever you can. Now, that's what drives the power of partnership, right? So I mentioned my first partner now, right?
Yes.
For us to get along as long as we did, there needed to be something that drives us, right? And my second set of partners at Krazyboyz, right? What I didn't mention is that, yes, I made $1 million at 21, then I went broke at 23, right? Like I lost everything. I lost the business. I moved back to my old bedroom, Ekai, right?
What?
From being a millionaire to, right? God has to restart you sometimes. And I was going through that process, right? I had to be humbled, right? And had to restart with these principles that I'm talking about love, about care. Now, with my partners then, where the opportunity was that, yes, we had a failed web development business, but whilst it was a failed web development business, it was still a great brand. It was still a great name, right?
Yeah.
And using that brand and name, and in my name as well, because I had built a lot of equity, right? I went in there with the equity that I already had, and I said, guys, let's come together. I don't have money to buy into your company. I told them straight up, right? But what I do have is social capital, and I have vision. That's what I do have, and I know where I can take you, right? And that's why I solidly believe that vision is more important than capital.
Sure.
People never start because they say, I don't have money.
Actually.
Right? But with vision, right? When someone buys into your vision, like that company that bought into mine, they opened up shareholding into their company because now they weren't just having a black partner, but they were having a visionary as a partner who could demonstrate that I can take this business to the next level. And guess what? I got shares without paying for them, right? Wow. And when the fruits of the vision was paying off, the profits from that's how I paid off my shares, right? So I didn't physically, because I was broke, I didn't have money, as an example, right? But what is that? It's a partnership where I'm opening new doors that they can't open, right? Sure. So that's the power of partnership. You can attract, well, I'll call it capital. It's not technically capital, but you can attract the type of help to take you to your next. In starting even my current business, Avatar, it was the very same principle. When I started Avatar, and I gave my current business partner, Veli Ngubane, my vision behind Avatar, he went and sold his house, as an example. And he put it in Avatar for it to start. Sure. That's vision.
And I mean, I love how you segued into it, because I wanted to ask you, I mean, now I think in transition and growth, you start Avatar with Veli Ngubane in 2012. Yes. What led you to start and pivot now into starting Avatar?
Okay. So when I was in the Krazyboyz transaction, when I was in that deal, there comes a point where you hit the glass ceiling, right? Even as a CEO, you can still hit the glass ceiling. Because now, Krazyboyz is multiple partners. We all have a different view of how the business should proceed ahead, and people's interests change with time. At that point in time, I had the privilege of attending Harvard and Yale at that time. And traveling, again, exposure. Now traveling overseas and looking at what great looks like, right? Now the new definition of great. Whereas in South Africa here, in my industry, there's what you call digital agencies, and those are agencies that primarily do services around the web, social platform, digital advertising, etc. And then there are traditional agencies, and those are advertising agencies that will typically advertise on billboards, on radio, TV. Those are traditional agencies. Now, I couldn't understand, why do we have a digital agency? What is the reason for a digital agency? Right? And when we don't have a radio agency or a TV agency, but why do we have a digital agency? So immediately that didn't make sense in my head, because as a consumer, when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you typically do? You pick up your phone, and you're being exposed to digital advertising. Maybe while picking up your phone, you might catch up on the news, or you're watching a morning show. You're being exposed to TV advertising, right? You get into your car, you switch on the radio. Now you're exposed to radio advertising. As you're driving to work, or maybe taxi, you're looking out the window, you're being exposed to billboard advertising, right? So advertising is a whole journey, right? It's a consumer journey. So why do we silo the consumer journey? Then I was like, no, this is not the right model. That's why I didn't subscribe to that model. Now, Krazyboyz was a digital agency, and I wanted to form an integrated agency. Then in South Africa, now it's a thing. Then it wasn't, right? But I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this, right? And I formed Avatar on that basis, in that I want to create something that's new, but it's a global trend that I got exposed to, right?
Sure.
And the interesting thing, even with Krazyboyz, the previous business, before I went into Krazyboyz, in fact, Csonke, let's take two businesses back. When I went into Csonke, how we started doing business on a large scale is because then websites looked like chicken scratch on a screen, right? Because all they cared about was information. Because these things were being designed by techies, right? So where I found my gap is I went to advertising agencies, partnership, and I said, guys, you guys have got like the biggest accounts in the country. I want to be your partner to create websites that look good. So it's the same philosophy as Steve Jobs, where he didn't invent the mobile phone, but he created an experience and an interface that looked great.
I love that.
And that's what we did in the world of advertising for advertising agency, and then in essence to corporate South Africa. So for a very small business, that's how we got exposed to very big clients through partners, right? So fast forward, when I get into the world of Avatar, when I started Avatar, same principles, right? In that I want to do something new in the market. And guess what? When we did that, the company grew by over 100% year on year for 7 years in a row.
What?
Yeah.
Sure. I mean...
So I wasn't coming in saying
no.
I'm black, I'm looking for... No.
Delivering value.
Value. That's what matters.
But here's the thing, right? I think on the back of that year-on-year double-digit growth and the sort, right?
Triple digit.
I love that. I love that. That triple-digit growth, right? What sort of a team culture needed to be created to bring people along for the journey? Because I think one of the other big challenges is that even when we build these teams, it's either the founder doesn't know how to build the right team, or they're frustrated, or we're not building them with the blend of the right sort of culture and environment for them to lead and grow these entities.
Yes. You know, Peter Drucker once said something very profound and true. And he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. In that you can have the best plans in the world, right? But people are what enable those plans. Right, like people, and hence why the philosophy and principle of love. For people to unite, right, they have to be united around something, and that is a vision. The primary skill that you need as an entrepreneur is for people to understand what is in your head.
Sure.
Right, that is the primary skill, because when people understand what is in your head, then they know where is the captain taking us. When people are feeling led and they are feeling that they want to be part of where you are leading them, they will give you their all. Now, for that to happen, you need a strong culture, right? But what is culture? We have to start there. Culture is a behavior, right? It's a way of doing things. It's a mindset. It's a behavior. Now, the best way for people to learn culture is from the founder, right? So in other words, you can't have standards for this person and standards for that person. That's bad culture, right? As an example, if like, hi, mas phuza manzi, Csonke phuza ngo left, then you gotta drink it no left. Don't change it to right, right? And the reason, because you are setting a culture, right? So in your business, if we are saying that we are arriving at 8 o'clock in the morning, as the owner, you have to be there at 7:30 because you are setting a culture for your people. If you come in at 9 o'clock, you are baba last, because we business, right? You're setting a bad precedent and a bad culture in your business. Being a business owner, it's almost like ubaba wasekhaya, right? You can't say that like hi, 9 o'clock amagate ayakhiwe, yet you are not there at 9, as an example. It doesn't work that way, right? So your culture starts from you. It's the behavior that you want out of your people. They have to learn it from you. They'll see right and wrong from how you do things, right? So if you apply yourself as the owner of the business or as the entrepreneur, you apply yourself to your trade, they see hard work through you, right? They will do the same for you.
Over and above the 3-digit growth year on year, I mean, you've led Avatar to, over several of high growth. I mean, I think one of the accolades is being, the first black-owned and led agency. I guess as per the top 10 brands in Africa. Over and above that, I think, what are some of the achievements that stand out for you in this journey?
Yeah, the grace of God has been with us, and that's why I called my book Business by Grace, because all of this, I've done many wrongs. Like I speak like this today, but I learned everything I'm saying through getting things terribly wrong, but it's going back for more. With, the world of entrepreneurship, you just have to have this bulletproof mindset where you are getting into a boxing ring every day. But, being in that ring every day does have its rewards. We are proud that today, our group, so we gave birth to a bigger group on top of Avatar Holding Company. We have now formed the largest black-owned advertising business in the country, right? It is one of the largest independent agencies in the country today. Sure. We employ over 200 people today. We've got offices in Johannesburg, two sets of offices. We've got offices in Durban as well. We are happy to be providing employment for many people, internships, bursaries as well. We've given birth to other agencies as well. During COVID-19, we were trusted by the presidency. So when the president was going on and going about adjusted level 1 and level 2, so we were doing the comms behind the presidency, in South Africa's biggest crisis. So those graphs that you are seeing on the news and social media and the actions that you needed to take, we were behind that. We are proud as a business that started in the Township in that we are, we think we are South Africa's only business to be appointed by a global brand as a global agency. And this was for Techno, where we were their worldwide agency across the world, reaching out to billions. And interestingly enough, that work did incredibly well for them. They're still using it even till today. We've helped global companies such as H&M when they went through the crisis. They are monkey in the jungle crisis, where we worked with H&M in South Africa, eventually H&M globally. We've done business on a global scale for brands, for companies, South African businesses like South African Airways as well. Right now we've just finished a project for South Africa's global ad, the global brand campaign, bringing tourists in South Africa. So we are very proud to be flying South Africa's flag very high around the globe. And it all started in Ekurhuleni, Spruitview.
Sure. And this for me is what epitomizes, but I've always said that starting your business in a township doesn't necessarily mean you're starting it there for it to die there.
100%.
It can compete on a global scale, and this offers then a clear blueprint and measure. But it would be amiss to sort of lead towards the end of this podcast without talking about the amazing book that I had the privilege of being given a copy by you, that is signed, autographed, an amazing moment for me. Let's talk a little bit about what inspired you. You sort of touched on it, but what inspired you to write that book, and what are some of the essential nuggets that you wish for us to extrapolate and walk away with from the book?
Yeah. So the book, Business by Grace, it's my story. But with this story, I talk about, a lot of what I'm talking about now, how I learned a lot of what I'm saying now. You asked me about a mentor, and I said I did it the hard way.
Yes.
The one thing that I wish I had was someone to say, turn left, turn right, don't do it like this, And that book is exactly that. It's my turn left and turn right. What I wish I was told. And God plays a center part in how I got there. Like I say, it's only through grace. There are many moments. We should have closed down in COVID, but through grace, we are still here. There are many moments in our journey where we've gone through the hardest hardships, difficulties. We know the month-end stories, like many entrepreneurs. they go through the month-end stories where employees are celebrating, not the owners. Right?
That's true.
Or some of the employees are celebrating. And then there are those silent, loyal ones who will get their check 2 days later, when the money clears in the bank. We've gone through those things as a business, right? And we have survived the worst.
Sure.
We have survived. The book is full of drama, lots and lots of drama. But, through grace, we've survived it. And we talk about how did we survive it? What are the things we do? What did we do, to reach the next level, of business? So it's, in essence, a summary of the book is how with 2,000 Rand, right, I was able to build a business that reaches out to the globe today.
And I think what I love in this conversation, right, this is, you've constantly pushed the button, but not just that, you've constantly kept a firm view of where you come from. And I think such as the foundation, the Mkhwanazi Foundation, but also there's the David's League as well.
Yes.
I have the privilege of knowing one of the entrepreneurs who was part of the David's League, and who then shares impacts and impactful journey and story. Still part of your community.
Yeah.
What was the importance of formulating these? In an age where people want to get all they can, sit on the can and can all they get, and never bring anyone along for the journey.
Yeah.
Why was this important for you to then develop the foundation and the David's League for impact?
So you recall in my story earlier, I mentioned that I went broke at 23 because I was being humbled.
Yes.
Right. And part of the humbling process is realizing, you come to a point where, why am I in this world? What am I here to do? And part of that humbling process and finding God in my life was finding purpose. And my purpose was to be a positive force, right, in this world. And how am I a positive force? What is it that I have in my hand, right? I've got the skill of entrepreneurship and the ability to grow. So how do I then impart this skill so that I can help people to grow to their next, right? And that was the idea behind starting David's League. I was not, at that time, I had not reached my my peak. Let me put it that way. But while I was on the move, because I've got this purpose of I wanna make sure that I wanna build. I don't want to say more Zibusisos because Zibusisos are very limited.
Yes.
I want to build greater than me, Bulelanis. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And the Sipos and the Liratos that are listening, and the Tatos, because all of those people are going to be far greater than me. And if I can become part of that journey, some way, somehow, I have lived my purpose in life. And so that's why David's League, and that's why David's League basically has transformed into ministry. That's what I do. I help people grow to their next.
Sure. And I love that. But I think just 3 or 4 questions, then we wrap up. I need to know, how have you dealt with imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Have you gotten into rooms and felt like, what am I doing here? Or do I even belong here? Is it something that one should work on reading, or is that something that keeps you connected to deeper purpose?
For me, I still have imposter syndrome. But I appreciate imposter syndrome, to tell you the truth, right? But I don't let it get to me, right? But I let it humble me, because then it reminds me of where I come from, right? But it is not my present. It reminds me of where I come from. But many a time, I have been in situations where, there are certain deals that I've done. I've done multiple acquisitions in my life. There's certain acquisitions I've done because of imposter syndrome. I think, okay, these guys are a bigger company, therefore this will work better. Only to realize that actually I was the one providing the greater value, but I didn't see it. And I've done deals like that on more than one occasion because I didn't realize my own value. So how do I deal with imposter syndrome? Is by understanding my value and what is it that I have to bring on the table. And value, right, is a very interesting word. Value is is not what is physical. An idea is value. Without you, it cannot happen. Your social capital. So who you know, right? But knowing people is one thing. Converting them to whatever you want is another. That is value. It's understanding those things. Because sometimes you'll think, I'm only making 100,000. This guy is making 10 million. Not realizing that the rate of your growth, you will surpass him in about 2-3 years if you keep to your path. And this guy can see that. Because you don't understand your value, right? He'll bring you on board, give you a raw deal, right? And you will help him grow at the rate you were supposed to grow.
Sure. Man, I wish we had 3 or 4, 5 hours because I've got so many. Because you know what you are?
Yeah.
You are a real living blueprint that you don't find in South Africa's market of how to start, run, and actually scale and grow.
I'm humble.
Not to buy a fancy German car, but how to actually scale and grow.
And get the German car
and get the
afterwards.
I love that.
Yeah.
So my second last really is really the question around, I guess, rejection and failure.
Yeah.
I really love that. Because I made the fatal mistake of buying the German car before things went south.
I've been there.
They went completely south.
Yeah.
I guess that segues us into this question. How have you navigated failure and rejection?
Yeah. Every entrepreneur will say, failure is a teacher. It is true, right? It is true that failure is a teacher. It was a great teacher of mine. But for me, there's the saying, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, like every day you are failing at something. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So me and my business partner have got this saying that as an entrepreneur, you have the weird ability to be happy and sad at the same time, right? You are happy because you just killed it on one deal. And you are sad because you didn't on another.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But these emotions live at the same time, right? They live within you at the same time. So when I say that, is that the thing is, the more you fail, is the more you are actually successful. And what I mean by that is that through all of those failures, there are new learnings to do things better and better and better. So failure is a very important part of the journey. It's a journey to be embraced. But most importantly, what you need is the willpower to get back in the ring, because that's the difficult part. It's the willpower. And what do we mean by the willpower, right? It's knowing that when you are an entrepreneur, let's say you've got a family, make sure you give adequate time to your kids, to your husband or your wife or your mom, whoever you define as family, right? Make sure you give important people the right amount of time. Because when you fail, you're going to need those voices that will say, baby, you can do it again. You know what I mean? Oh, my son, you can do it. You know what I mean? Oh, my sister, I know you are capable. But you will only have those words if you've invested the time. So that's where you find your willpower to get back up and learn again.
I think in closing, what would be whether it's a mantra, whether it's a saying, whether it's a thought that you'd love to leave these amazing young entrepreneurs or Kasi entrepreneurs in navigating their journeys?
So once I went to go speak at a school in the Free State. I think it was called St. Bernard, and that school's motto was Pihelo Ihlola Mathata. You will defeat all problems through perseverance. So just keep on keeping on, hey? That's all I can say. Keep on praying on, keep on believing, and it will happen with time.
Sure, no, man. Thank you, guys. Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. I need you for a third, fourth, fifth.
Okay, let's do it.
And hopefully we'll get, because the knowledge, the nuggets are...
I'll tell you what, I'll come to the summit. Yeah.
Ah!
Okay, we'll
Hallelujah.
do this live.
Man.
We'll do this live.
Now I'm happy. Yo, now you guys are in November. 20th and 21st of November.
I'm coming. Guys, I am coming to the
You are
summit.
in for the treat. Township Economy Summit, 7th annual. You are in for a treat. We're going to be unpacking this more, talking about scale, measured scale. But I think for me, you know, this is a out-of-body experience for me, a moment, because it's someone I've watched from afar, someone whose journey I've really, you know, I've hunted you, I've followed you, I've watched you from afar, I've learned so much from you, because the shape-shifting moves that you've made can never ever be ignored. I mean, you've been recognized by the World Economic Forum, you've been recognized by Ernst & Young, you've been recognized, I think, just last year by President Cyril Ramaphosa and giving you that Lifetime Achievement Award in the magnificent work that you've done. And I think for me, from the bottom of my heart, and I think in representing many other young entrepreneurs that are constant here next to you, I'm really grateful because you've created a blueprint. And that's what I love. And I think I mentioned it in the podcast. We actually have a blueprint of what to do. And guys, get the book so that you are able to then learn, navigate, and grow yourself. But thank you so much for tuning in to episode 8, this phenomenal episode 8 of the Kasi Business Podcast. Join us again next week for episode 9. Hashtag Kasi Business Podcast. You know, grow your business, start it and run it, and impact your community. Walla bafe too. Fuga spanke, fuga. Spashing all the numbers, she